Hello again everyone, Armando here with another installment on my Incredible Hulk build, the quarter scale vinyl kit. I have completed gap filling, primering, sanding, and some more primering, and I'd like to show you what I've done so far, my hits and my misses, and what's next. Now, to fill in the gaps, I used the Polyform Model Air Dry Modeling Clay, which I obtained at Michael's. It's just one of several varieties they had there. Some require baking in an oven to dry, but the air drying ones simply require that you leave them open to air. That's why I have it in a sealed plastic bag, so the rest of it doesn't dry. It's the same stuff I used for my other vinyl kits, the face hugger and the chest burster. I did not require any on my Terminator skull, but as I've said before, these vinyl kits inherently have very severe gaps. Most of the gaps here manifested mostly in the underarm area. They were very severe and required large pieces of clay. Also, in the musculature where the arms join the back, you can see them. They hide nicely with the primer, and after I applied the primer and allowed it to dry, I went ahead and did some sanding. Sanding was hit or miss. Most of the successful sanding occurred in the areas that were flat, as you would expect. Here, for instance, you could hardly see any joint where the clay actually fills in, but there was a gap there and there is clay there. You could see it better here because it was more difficult for me to get in here with the sandpaper. The same can be said for this side. As you can see, it's much smoother here than it is down here. But I've decided to take that in stride because, frankly, you can't really see much of it when you look at it from afar. And everything hides very nicely with the details on the surface of this kit, which is very nicely detailed. You can see in the back also. It really isn't too much of a problem, to be honest. I'm pretty happy with it as it is. I've applied my final coat of primer. Now comes a pre-shading, which is the next step. I'm going to use the Boss Builds guide, which actually did the Avengers Dragon kit, but the principle is the same. Specifically, it is Boss Builds episode 19, 1/9 Avenger Hulk pre-shading. He goes through a demonstration of how it's done, and basically you pre-shade the crevices with flat black. He also did the face and part of the hands, and I'm going to follow this as a guide to do the pre-shading on mine. It brings out the crevices and marks the musculature much nicer, so that when you paint with the base coat on top, it works out better. I will also mark crevices on the pants, and I will paint the hair with the black, and then of course it'll go with the green, but once the black is on there, I expect that it'll look like a very dark green, which is what I'm looking for anyway. I hope it comes out nice. I think it does. So far it's looking pretty good. I'm actually very happy with the way these things hide. When you look at them with the shading, and once I get pre-shading in there and coloration, I don't think you'll really be able to tell that there were any gaps at all, to be honest. Show you the one on the back that I worked on. I did get some sanding in there, which was fairly effective. You can still see some detail there. But again, when you look at it like this and with pre-shading, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. That's the beauty of this kit with all the detail on the surface. So anyway, that's my progress so far, and I'll come back with another update when I've got the pre-shading done. See you soon. Alright, I'm back, and I've finished the main pre-shading. of my Hulk. Go through the details. I appreciated the hair black and misted some flat black over his face, which in essence what it does is it emphasizes the craggy features of his face, his cheekbones. Actually makes him look angrier, which is great. And I went ahead and I emphasized all the muscle groups as much as I could with flat black, spraying over all the edges. Also any indentations that need to be emphasized so as to give him more definition were sprayed. Also the fingernails, palms of the hand, front muscle groups, the nipples, some of the blood vessels, not all of them, some of them. Toenails, indentations between the tendons of the feet. All with the goal of emphasizing him. Now I'm gonna try and come up with a green that I like. The Speedhacker green I have is a little bit more Irish green than I would like, so I guess I'm gonna have to make some custom changes to it to make it a little bit more Hulk green. But all in all, I'm pretty pleased with the pre-shading. It's effectively hidden any gaps that I worked on. I think those are going to look great once it gets painted, and we'll see. The eyes continue to be my main worry, my main concern. I guess I'll have to see how best to paint them. It's all a learning experience. Alright, talk to you soon. Okay, quick update here. Finished masking the pants on my Hulk, and as you might well imagine, it was a very tedious job. But the edges are all masked, the parts that are torn are masked, and he is ready to be painted. So now the next step will be to come up with a Hulk green that I like. So I'll be back with that. I'll come back and I'll let you know how it transpires. Take care. Okay, Armando here, and I'm back with another update on the Hulk, and I am calling this one done. Last night I completed the painting of the pants and detail work around the edges, as well as detail work on the toenails, fingernails, and the face. And pardon the thunder, it's raining out here. And then applied some Krylon satin finish, allowed it to dry, picked up some defects this morning, and then applied a little bit of a dull coat on the pants to make them a little less shiny than him. He's an in-between, he's not really glossy. It's a satin finish, but I like it. It makes him look like a bodybuilder who's oiled himself up for a show or something. Anyway, let's go over what I did. In the last video I masked off the pants. Well, I finished painting him, gave him a couple of coats of the green. The pre-shading is really amazing. It does the job. It really brings out the surface detail on him. After I finished that, I removed the masking on the pants, and then I masked the top, but the bottom I sort of masked. I used a card and painted, spray painted as I held the card to keep it from painting, and then whatever over dusting of the purple I did on top of the green, I just retouched later with a little green. I even used a little paintbrushing in some of the smaller areas, believe it or not, and it actually came out pretty nice. You can see on the detail, you can't really tell much in the way of issues or problems. I was even able to paint that little string of purple that's torn there. In the back, the same thing. That seam disappeared pretty nicely. In fact, the seams are barely noticeable. I'm very pleased with the way it came out. Again, the pre-shading on the muscle groups really gives it that touch. The toenails and the fingernails I painted with a darker version of the green. I just took some black and added it until I reached almost black, but not quite. And then after I sprayed it, to take some of the gloss off, I just resprayed some of the original green that I used on his body over the nails, so as to make them greener and less shiny. The effect basically being just nails that are darker, you know, with a very dark green, which is exactly what I wanted. Same with the fingernails on the right hand. The left hand, the only one that's exposed is the thumbnail, and I did the same thing there. And for the face, well, the hair, I took a very dark green again, and I detailed them, trying to get the strands painted individually. I think that came out pretty nicely. The same in the back, where he's got that little funky haircut. And for the lips, again, the same technique as the nails. I painted some on, and then I sprayed it with the original green to cut down on the haze and make it more natural looking. The effect, I didn't want him to look like a transvestite with a very dark pair of lips. So the effect is pretty good. And then for the eyes, finally, I noticed that conveniently the eyeballs had a raised center area where the pupil and iris were supposed to be, so I just painted 2 dark circles there. And then the eyes, I took some thinner and I thinned them out around the sclera to make it a lighter shade of green and emphasize it a little bit. Didn't do too much work on them, but just enough to make them look mean and defined. And he is looking in the same direction. He doesn't look cross-eyed, so I think for being my first set of eyes, it's not too bad. So this is my Hulk, and I am really pleased with the way he came out. I think he looks great. I love the shade of green that I picked. The purple is dark, but it's noticeably purple, and the musculature is emphasized just the way he's supposed to look. So this will be my entry. I'll be submitting the final pictures today on the SFMA thread, and I hope you guys like it. As usual, comments are welcome. Take care.